Showtime! The Capital G Show starts right now.
What's up, YouTube? Capital G here, talking Crystal Beast once again. It is my pet project, I guess you could say, of the week. Anyways, if you guys have caught me on DN over the last couple of days, you've probably seen me testing Crystal Beast extensively. You know, I kind of started with a rough draft version of the deck. I tested it a bunch, got smashed a lot, did not get quite the results that I was looking for, and then, you know, obviously made adjustments, updated my deck, tried to find, you know, whatever could help with speed and consistency. So I'm going to show you guys the early version of my deck, and as you can see from this early build, it was completely based on Dp-Ygo. You know, I was kind of trying to get a mix of everything. So the first thing that I learned about my build was that Ruby Carbuncle 3 copies was just way too much. I was drawing it early and often, and truth be told, it's the only card in your entire deck you never want to draw. It's the worst card in the deck to draw. I mean, not just because the stats are atrocious, but you really just want to special summon it from either your deck or your back row. And if you're going to special summon it through your back row, then you can probably just use something like Crystal Promise or Rainbow Ruins, or if you're just going to summon it from your deck, then you would just obviously use Crystal Beacon. So there's never a time that you actually need Carbuncle in your hand. The second thing I learned was that Swift Scarecrow was really inconsistent. You know, I would draw it early game when I needed spells to basically set up and to get my deck rolling. When I finally would draw it in the late game, sure, it would save me for a turn, but then I would just draw a dead Crystal Beast and I would lose a turn later. So, you know, I didn't really think that that card was working out as I intended. I didn't like double Crystal Blessing nearly as much as I thought I would. You know, the problem with the card is it's just really a card that helps you when you're losing. Like, it's a recovery card. You know, if your Crystal Beasts keep getting blown up and they're going to the graveyard instead of being in your back row, then obviously it can help you recover. But if you're launching them to negate stuff with Rainbow Ruins, you're winning 90% of the time. Or if they're just sitting in your back row, then obviously this is going to be a dead card and it's really not going to help you win. I think that the card works best if you're running multiple copies of rare value. If you want to go that route, then I think that the card can work wonders. Speaking of which, I didn't run rare value because I found it so difficult to get Crystal Beast in my back row consistently, at least above you know, 2, that I thought the card was just too difficult to run. It would mean that basically I would almost always have to hit, you know, Pegasus turn 1, or you'd have to hit like release turn 1 to run copies or to run multiple copies of Blessing. This is my latest build, and once again, guys, you have to understand I am not a Crystal Beast master. I just started playing this a few days ago, but this is what basically I learned from testing. First thing, as you probably noticed, I cut Carbuncle to 2. There's absolutely no reason that you should need to run 3 in this deck. I added a couple of dualities just because I felt like it could help with consistency. It could help me get to the 2 cards that I feel like speed the deck up immensely. That's Crystal Beast, Sapphire Pegasus, and then Crystal Release. I only run 2 because, you know, with Abundance and Promise, I do a decent amount of special summoning, so I felt like 2 was the magic number. I maxed out on Crystal Release because, man, this is probably the best spell in the entire deck outside of like Rainbow Ruins. I mean, it just gives the deck so much freaking speed, and I like it because if you put it on a Crystal Beast monster, no matter what, when this card leaves the field, you are going to get a Crystal Beast in your back row, and that is really what drives this deck, you know, getting Crystal Beast into your back row as quickly as possible. And this is the only spell that just does it automatically and does it guaranteed, you know. And if you really use it in conjunction with Pegasus, it is really good, because let's say you open with a Pegasus and then you put Release on it. Not only do you have a 2600 beater, but you already have 1 card in your back row. When Pegasus dies, he goes to your back row, and then when Release hits the graveyard, you get another one. So you can potentially have 3 cards in your back row off turn 1. You know, I added a couple of Promise in because I feel like it just works too well with Pegasus to ignore. You know, you can go Pegasus, put another Pegasus in your back row. You can Promise the first, or you can Promise the Pegasus in your back row, get another card, and then when they all die, you already have 3 cards loaded in your back row. Maybe the second one summons like, or puts a Carbuncle in your back row, and it just sets up really well for like you know, an abundance play when you get 1 more monster or something like that. I feel like the card is faster than Beacon, and I think that it just works better in general than Beacon does. You know, outside of if you're making a Carbuncle play, which If you're going for a carbuncle play, you can already do that in theory, basically, with Abundance or with Rainbow Ruins, because the carbuncle plays really aren't that devastating unless you have a loaded back row. And if you have a loaded back row, once again, Ruins and Abundance pretty much do the same thing. So, yeah, this is my most up-to-date version. It's not 100%, you know, the best build or 100% efficient, but yeah, this is my last build, and just tell me what you guys think of it. Subscribing makes life happy.